Monday, October 6th, 5:16 p.m. New York time. Welcome back, investors, to Winning Wall Street's Money. The stock market and the futures markets are closed now. First trading day, full trading day of the new week of the last quarter of the year. Going to look at currencies, how they're being affected in regions of the planet from the tariffs. Major currencies. First, we'll get this out of the way. US dollar index and crypto Bitcoin. Charts are 1 year. Each candle's a week. See the highs and lows of the year? Those are the yellow horizontal lines. On the left, US dollar index. The early beginning of the year, that was the high of the year. Since then, the dollar has trended down to the lows of the year. It's the inverse with the crypto Bitcoin. Beginning of the year was in the mid-range and then went lower. And now, this week, this day, Bitcoin made a new high for the year. Big difference in the patterns. Can you tell which one's bullish and which one's bearish? We also have key levels on this time frame, the weeklies. See these blue horizontal lines on both of them? Those could become sweet spots for trade ideas. That's just one comparison of these two financial instruments. Let's go deeper into the dollar now. Again, if you don't know, United States federal government, many agencies are shut down due to the leadership of Congress. They have the power to bring people back. The leadership of Congress is controlled by one political party, the majority. So again, these impacts on these financial instruments have a correlation from that because we have safe haven currencies, which we're going to go look at now. North America, two major currencies against the US dollar. The left, Canadian dollar, and the right, the Mexican dollar. These are the currencies in the futures market. So the Canadian dollar on the left, excuse me, when that trends down, that's weaker Canada dollar, stronger US dollar. Yeah, the beginning of the year, is that yellow horizontal line for the Canadian dollar? That was the high. Sorry, that was the high of the year up there. But the beginning of the year, see on the bottom left, the Canadian dollar on the bottom left, that was the low of the year. Had a huge run up. Since then, the May-June timeframe, especially the June timeframe, Canadian dollar has been consolidating, breaking down, consolidation, staircase pattern, lower low, giving strength to the US dollar. The past 2 weeks, look at those little tiny candles. And currently we're at inside range. So again, trending down, Canadian dollar getting weak, US dollar gaining strength. And on the chart on the right, Mexican peso, also beginning of the year, was the low of the year. Since then, it's been making higher highs. Canadian dollar is gaining strength against the US dollar. These are the two largest trading partners against the United States. When you do trade against them, there's an embedded cost with currencies as well as other commodities involved. Yeah. Currently for the week, the Mexican peso, inside candle against the prior week. Let's go over to see how the Europe's doing with the tariffs. The European currencies, the major ones. We'll look at the euro and the British pound. Left, the euro, and the right, the British pound. Yeah, the bottom of both of them, beginning of the years, they were the low. Since then, they've both been trending up bullish, with the euro making the most recent high. In the far right, the British pound. See this blue horizontal line, that swing high? That filled to go up there. So that's showing there's less demand for the British pound. And also back-to-back two inside candles here. So that's an interesting correlation. See what's going to happen on both of these because the swing lows are near the same. Go to the Asia Pacific currencies. Japanese yen and the Australian dollar. Early in the year, they were both near the lows of the year. So again, the left is Japanese yen, the right, Australian dollar. The left Japanese yen had that run up, the high of the year. Since then, lower highs. Already broke the low of last week, coming close to a key swing point here. Again, staircase pattern, lower low. First, Australian dollar made the most recent high. Inside candle for the week. Staircase pattern, higher high. That being said, see this blue swing points below them? If you're trading currencies, again, it's showing which one has a higher probability in bullish here versus which one's inverse. Interesting. You hear a lot of news on the bigger countries such as Japan, China, but how much do you hear about Australia with the tariffs? We'll give you some insight. New Zealand is one of several countries that is heavily weighted on commodities. Commodities, several categories: metals, energy, agricultural, livestock. But Australia is heavily weighted towards the metals and energy. Gold, silver, as those go up in values, it helps the currency. Yeah, they're an exporter of those materials, where Japan's an importer of those. So again, that has a correlation of how their values of the currencies. Let's go to the final pair. Going to look at the US dollar China yuan versus crypto Bitcoin. So on the left is a currency pair. This is on the Forex market now, different exchange, still currencies, but different financial exchanges. When this on the left trends lower, that's a weaker dollar, stronger yuan. Now, as you can see the top left, near the top left, that was the high of the year, US dollar, Chinese yuan. Since then, US dollar has declined, Chinese yuan has been gaining strength, and here's the low of the year. Again, staircase pattern, lower low. US dollar declining against the Chinese yuan. And then here, Bitcoin, again, I mentioned, made a new high for the year. Tariffs. You pay for your products and services in dollars. Weaker dollar, you pay more for your imported products and services. I just showed you many trading partners with the United States. US dollar is declining. Your buying power is less. There's a big correlation of currencies and tariffs, and there's trading opportunities. Many sweet spots. You can trade these in the futures market, Forex market, and the stock ETFs. Thank you as always spending just a little time with me. That's it for the video. Thank you for watching.